Emma's here on the other side of the desk. Of course, the papers are all full of... there's the colouring books again. The papers, of course, all full of the election, which we've been telling you about in the news. The international press, though, what's being said abroad about those elections, Emma?
Well, taking a look, first of all, at the Wall Street Journal, and their headline is Hollande's party loses out to the right. They describe an electoral setback for the president, who has struggled with popularity for so many months now. He did see a small boost in the wake of the terror attacks in Paris, where he gained a lot of popularity, seen as the comforter-in-chief of France, if you like. But obviously, he couldn't hang on to that growth in popularity. And the Wall Street Journal blames the Socialists' poor performance on its failure to deliver on campaign promises to restore growth and reduce unemployment. The UMP party of Nicolas Sarkozy did better than was predicted before these elections. The former president says people believe they've been lied to, while Marine Le Pen's strategy to make the National Front more mainstream has paid off, even though she didn't succeed in getting that full 30% backing that she was predicted before these elections. The Wall Street Journal says the party has succeeded largely because it's now focusing its vitriol on Europe and the mainstream parties. Now, looking at the UK's independent newspaper, Sarkozy staves off French far right. Interesting to see which of the characters that the foreign press focus on. There's a lot more about Nicolas Sarkozy and far more photographs of Marine Le Pen, interestingly. She's been pictured in both articles, and this one talks in particular about how the National Front has been demonised, they describe it. There's been a move away from the kind of racist overtones of the National Front since Marine Le Pen took the helm from her father, Jean-Marie, and that is seen as key to her gaining a lot more popularity amongst mainstream voters. The Washington Post has chosen today to focus on racism here in France, and it talks about the fact that France's Muslim community is actually caught between Islamophobia and extremism. The piece features a doctor of Algerian origin, Karim Bessalem, who lives in Vincennes, which is of course close to where the terror attacks happened, one of them anyway, at the Jewish supermarket there in the north of Paris. He reveals things that his patients have said to him, because he doesn't look typically Muslim. He's not the stereotypical Muslim, if you like. And he said that many of his patients forget that he is. And the comments, the quotes that he gives this reporter reveal a really distressing side to the French psyche, if you will. He said, one patient told him, and she'd been a patient of his for 10 years, "I'm disgusted by Muslim people, they shouldn't be here." Another one said, "France, it's only for the true French people." Now, the paper says many of France's 5 million Muslims are trapped now with a sense of alienation that's growing. They say that Islamophobia and radicalism really feed off each other, building in tandem. And of course, a recent survey found that 27% of people here in France actually had an unfavourable view of Muslims.
Yeah, incredible to hear those emotional stories then. Elsewhere, tributes are being paid to the founding father of Singapore in the papers. What are they saying?
Well, the Shanghai Daily went to press before news of Lee Kuan Yew's death broke, but its front page features the scene outside the hospital where he was being treated. Flowers, messages and a vigil taking place outside Singapore General Hospital. The 91-year-old had been being treated there since the beginning of February. Singapore's The Straits Times, a similar scene with one gentleman praying on the ground in front of all those tributes. Around 1,000 had been left at that time. I'm sure that number must have increased dramatically in the wake of his death. The current Prime Minister, Mr Lee's son, visited the hospital on Sunday, and the Transport Minister took to Facebook to pay tribute, saying that even in illness you're drawing us together in a way that no one else can. Now, some of the other international papers which did go to press after the announcement of his death have taken the opportunity to pay tribute to some of his best quotations. The International New York Times, my favourite one from there, reveals a way with words and a very steely disposition. He said, "Remember, elected governments are only as good as the people who chose them." And in the UK's Guardian newspaper, between being loved and being feared, I have always believed Machiavelli was right. If nobody's afraid of me, I'm meaningless.
Nice way of putting it, nice way of putting it. OK, from a founding father to a king now. Amazing scenes in the UK. King Richard III, he's had his burial procession. He's going to be laid to rest a little bit later this week, isn't he? In a manner benefiting a monarch.
Exactly, because his rather ignominious many years beneath a car park in Leicester, not quite what you would expect from an anointed king. But the Independent's front page is absolutely inspired today. A hearse, my kingdom for a hearse. Of course, a bit of a play
Very
on
good.
probably the most famous line from Shakespeare's play, Richard III, which of course is a horse, which I agree with far more, but anyway. This line, of course, this whole article is talking about this procession which happened yesterday. King Richard III's final journey through the streets of Leicester. There were thousands of people there, all trying to get a glimpse of a piece of history that the like of which we'll never see again. I mean, this is such a unique tale and such a bizarre one. There was a 21-gun salute throughout the route. People threw white roses at the coffin, and it was quite an emotional sight. The white rose, of course, was the symbol of the House of York, of which he was the head. He died back in 1485, hacked to death in the Battle of Bosworth, and his body was found 2.5 years ago, as I said, beneath a car park. The pomp and circumstance this week is far more befitting anointed king of England. And of course, everyone is really shocked at how he was discovered beneath the car park. But his supporters have been out in force at these events, saying that he was vilified by Shakespeare as a hunchbacked tyrant, and that really he was nothing like that. And as one onlooker put it, he deserved better than being thrown into a hole in the ground.
Oh, it really did grab people's imagination, isn't it? Nice to see those pictures as well. Thanks a lot, Emma. Emma with the paper review for